Thanksgiving dinner was already a ticking time bomb, but it was Natalie who lit the match. She stood up, wine glass in hand, that signature pageant smile plastered across her face, the kind she wore before dropping a bomb and pretending it was a compliment. "Before we carve the turkey," she said, voice syrupy sweet, "there's something we've all agreed on." The room stilled, forks froze midair, my stomach turned. I knew that voice. It was the same one she used to get me grounded at 14 for a party I never even attended. "We took a family vote," she continued, casting her gaze around like she was accepting an award, "and you're not family anymore." Silence. Then applause. Actual, honest-to-God cheering. Cousin Laura clapped like she was at a Broadway show, Uncle Mitch raised his glass with a grin, and my mother, my own mother, chuckled and said, "Well, someone finally said it." I didn't move, couldn't. My eyes stayed locked on my plate, the stuffing had gone cold, my blood hadn't. Even my dad couldn't meet my eyes, he just took a long swig of his beer and muttered, "It's probably for the best." I pushed my chair back slowly, the scrape loud in the stunned silence that followed their celebration. "You guys actually rehearsed this," I said, voice calm, too calm. Natalie beamed, proud of her performance. "You've been toxic for years, we're just done pretending." "You're not family," my mother echoed, scooping cranberry sauce like she was commenting on the weather. "It's unanimous." I scanned the table. Not one voice of protest, not one. "Good," I said softly. I reached into my bag and pulled out a thick folder, setting it on the table with a deliberate thunk. The sound sliced through the atmosphere like a knife. Natalie blinked. "What is that?" she asked, already annoyed. I leaned back, arms folded. "Why don't you find out?" She snatched it like she was proving a point. That smug little smirk, the one she always wore when she thought she'd won, curled on her lips. Then she opened it. Her smirk didn't just vanish, it crumbled. She flipped a page, then another, her face drained of color, her hands started to shake. Then she screamed. Not a dramatic gasp, not a cry of indignation. A scream. Sharp, animal, like something feral had crawled out of the folder and sunk its teeth in. Her chair toppled as she lurched to her feet, slamming the folder shut like it had burned her. "You psycho, you twisted freak." Gasps rang out like gunfire. Joel, her walking resume of a husband, grabbed the folder. He flipped through it, eyes wide. "Is this?" he asked, looking at me, stunned. I nodded. Every word, every receipt, every screenshot. Silence. A fork clinked to the floor in the kitchen. My mother opened her mouth, then shut it again, like a fish out of water. I stood up slowly. "You all counted on me being quiet," I said, my voice steady now. "The doormat, the ATM, the one too polite to push back." I leaned across the table and met Natalie's trembling eyes. "But this little performance?" I whispered. "It's over." "You want to know what was in that folder?" "I'll tell you. But first, you need to know how we got here." Because Natalie didn't just wake up one day and decide I wasn't family, that judgment was built over years, layer by layer, cut by cut. I was never their favorite, not even close. Natalie was the golden girl, straight teeth, good grades, charm for days, she could lie to your face and make you thank her for it. I was quiet, kept to myself, didn't need their approval, and they hated that. They mistook silence for weakness. I moved out at 19, paid for college, worked 2 jobs, never asked for a dime. Natalie, she flunked out of 2 majors, found herself in Europe, and came home to marry Joel, the human version of a networking seminar. Guess who helped pay for their wedding? Me. My parents couldn't afford it, but still managed a 2-week cruise afterward. I didn't complain, not when I paid for Dad's dental surgery, not when Mom claimed the heating bill was overdue, not even when I chipped in for Laura's tuition after she lost her scholarship. They always said thanks. But it was the tone that got me. That expectation, like of course I'd help, because I didn't have a real family of my own. And maybe that's what finally snapped something in me. I'm single, no kids, no spouse, just me, my work, and my dog. To them, that meant my time, my energy, my money, was theirs. Especially Natalie, she treated me like her emergency fund. Joel lost his job? I got the call. Her car broke down? You make 6 figures. And every time, I helped. Until I didn't. What's $2,000 when her kid needed therapy and insurance wouldn't cover it? Yeah, guess who she called? And of course, I helped. I always helped. Because I told myself it was family. But what started as kindness turned into obligation. Then into expectation. And eventually, into demand. It began with the little digs, casual, barbed jokes over dinner. "Oh, you brought the good wine. Must be nice to afford it. Of course you're early, you don't have kids. Wish I could work late every night and avoid my husband." Then came the uglier stuff. "You're so cold, no wonder you're still alone. You don't get it, you've never had real stress. You don't even have a real life. You're just bitter that no one needs you." But that wasn't true. They did need me, constantly. Quietly, behind closed doors. Financially. Then came the text. "Natalie, hey, can you co-sign for a small business loan? Joel and I want to start a wellness cafe." Me, no. Natalie, wow, really? And just like that, silence. That was 3 months ago. Since then? Cold shoulders. Mom stopped calling. Dad responded with one-word texts. No invite to the last family dinner. Natalie blocked me, after posting a story about cutting out toxic energy. But I didn't sulk. I started gathering receipts. Literal ones. See, I keep records. Transfers, emails, screenshots, dates. I'm not stupid. And over the last 5 years? I'd given them over $78,000. Let me say that again, $78,000. $8,000 for Joel's rehab. $2,300 for Natalie's emergency dental, which, yeah, turned out to be veneers. $1,500 for Dad's back surgery. $12,000 to wipe out Mom's credit card debt. $6,000 for Laura's college move-in. $4,500 for a family emergency that ended up being a trip to Cabo. And not once did anyone offer to pay me back. They didn't even pretend. They just took. And when I finally stopped giving, suddenly I was the problem. So I made the folder. Inside, every transfer confirmation. Every text and email asking for money. Screenshots of Natalie calling me manipulative because I wouldn't co-sign the loan. A detailed timeline of every payment I'd made over the last 5 years. And just for flair? Screenshots from Facebook and Instagram, where they laughed about me behind my back. There's even one where Natalie called me a cash cow with no spine in a private comment thread. She had no idea I had access to it. So yeah, that's what she saw when she opened the folder. That's what made her scream. Because she wasn't just caught. She was dismantled, line by line, page by page, lie by lie. And the rest of the family, they started to see it. My mom looked like she was going to faint. "Joel?" He stared at a line in the document and said, $4,200 to cover Natalie's credit card used at a hotel in Santa Monica, with someone named Alyssa? And then, dead silence. He looked up at me. I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. Because for once, I wasn't defending myself. I was just showing them the truth. My mom's voice trembled. "You kept records of everything?" I turned to her, calm. "You never remembered, so someone had to." Natalie was still standing. Still pale. Fists clenched. Eyes bouncing from Joel to me to the folder. "This is a violation," she spat. "You had no right." "No right?" I said, rising to my feet. "You just stood there and declared me not family, and everyone clapped. Now you're mad I came prepared?" Joel flipped another page. "What's this about Santa Monica?" Natalie whipped her head toward him. "Don't start." "Who's Alyssa?" he asked. "Why were you at a hotel for 3 nights on my credit card?" She said nothing. Her silence screamed. "Wait," Mom interrupted, hands raised like a traffic cop. "Can we all just calm down, be reasonable?" "Sure," I said, "let's be reasonable. Let's talk about the time you called me a parasite, while cashing the check I sent you." She blinked. "That's not fair, we were under stress." "No," I cut in. "You were under stress. And I bailed you out, every time. And the one time I said no? Suddenly, I was the villain." That's when Dad finally spoke. "You're making this into something bigger than it is." I turned to him, my voice dropped. "You let them do this to me, 4 years, you heard it, you saw it. And you let it happen, because it was easier than standing up to them." He didn't deny it. Natalie slammed her hand on the table. "You're just bitter because no one needs you anymore." I met her gaze. "Wrong," I said, "I'm not bitter. I'm done. She laughed bitterly. You're pathetic. You know how dramatic this looks? A folder? Screenshots? You think this makes you the victim? All it proves is you're a control freak. I smiled. And all you've proven is that the only version of me you ever loved was the one who paid your bills. You don't get to play the martyr, Natalie shouted. You chose to help, you didn't have to. And yet, I said, stepping forward, you expected it, every single time. Until it wasn't help anymore, it was duty. And when I stopped, you voted me out. My voice cracked, not from sadness, but from pure rage. You didn't want a brother. You wanted a wallet with legs. Joel stood up, holding the folder. Is this true? He asked, looking at Natalie. All of this? Natalie's gaze locked with his, and for the first time, she didn't have a comeback. No fake tears, no deflection, just silence. You lied to me, Joel said, his voice trembling. About the hotel, about the money, about him. You made it sound like he was crazy. I had to, she exploded. He was turning everyone against me. I wasn't, I said quietly. You did that all by yourself. The room fell into a heavy, suffocating silence. Then, my mom leaned forward, trying one last time to bring calm. Her voice was softer, but still desperate. Listen, honey, we may have overreacted, but this is still family, and families fight. Let's just put this behind us. I cut her off. You're not hearing me. She blinked. What? I'm not asking for peace. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm telling you, I'm done. Natalie sneered. Oh, stop pretending like this is some big moment. You've said that before. I looked her dead in the eyes. Not like this. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out another envelope. What now? My dad asked, his tone weary, like he already knew where this was going. I tossed it onto the table. Joel caught it before it slid off. He opened it, read the first line, and his eyes widened. What is this? He whispered. I answered for him. Power of attorney forms for mom, revoked. Medical proxy, revoked. Emergency contact, removed. I've already signed the papers. I am legally and emotionally no longer responsible for any of you. My mother gasped. You're cutting ties completely? Completely, I said. Starting now. You're being selfish, she said, her voice thick with tears. We made mistakes, but we're still your family. I turned to her. My voice was calm, final. No, you're not. I grabbed my coat, took one last look at them, and walked out the door, leaving them there, mid-meal, stunned, speechless, surrounded by cold food and uglier truths. I walked out, and I didn't look back. Not because it didn't hurt. It did. But as I closed the door behind me and stepped into the cold night air, I felt something shift. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I didn't drive straight home. Instead, I pulled off the road near the lake I used to visit as a kid, the place Dad used to take me fishing. I sat there in silence, staring out at the still water. And for the first time in a long time, I felt nothing pulling at me. No guilt. No pressure. No one waiting on a check. Or a ride. Or a favor. Just stillness. The next morning, silence. The day after that, still nothing. But on the third day, the messages started. First, my mom. A missed call. Then another. Then a voicemail. You really mean it? We were angry, but we're still your family. I didn't respond. Then came the texts from Natalie. You don't even realize what you've done. Joel's filing for divorce. Are you happy? Something is really wrong with you. Then my dad. You went too far. We all said things we regret, but what you did was nuclear. Your mother is a wreck. Come fix this. I didn't reply to any of them. And honestly, I thought I'd feel guilty. I thought I'd toss and turn at night, wondering if I went too far. But instead, I slept better than I had in years. No more second-guessing every text. No more waiting for the other shoe to drop. No more late-night Venmo requests or guilt trips disguised as emergencies. For the first time in a decade, I could hear myself think. I started waking up early, going for runs, brewing coffee, slowly. I made appointments I'd put off for years, dentist, doctor, even a therapist. Not because I was broken, but because I was finally allowed to take care of myself. I rewrote my emergency contacts, removed my parents, changed my passwords, frozen every joint account they had access to. Blocked Natalie on every platform. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure. A week after Thanksgiving, I got a text from Laura, my cousin who clapped when they voted me out. "I didn't know you paid for my tuition. I'm sorry. I followed the crowd. You were always the one who actually helped." I didn't answer. But I read it, twice. Then, another surprise. A message from Joel. I filed the papers. Everything in that folder checked out. She cheated, lied, manipulated. "Not just you, me too. You did the right thing," Joel added. "I should have left sooner. I wasn't expecting that. But it landed." A few days later, I did something I hadn't done in years. I applied for a job in another city. Not because I was running, because I was finally free. No more, "You should stay close to home." No more, "Who will take care of them if you leave?" I started reconnecting with friends I hadn't seen in years. People I'd pulled away from, because I was always too busy with family stuff. And the wildest part? Some of them had seen my post on Reddit. They reached out just to say, "We're proud of you." That was brave. No one asked for money. No guilt. No manipulation. Just support. Simple, honest, clean. Someone asked me, "Don't you regret it?" I thought for a second, then I said, "I only regret not doing it sooner." I thought that was the end. And in a way, it was. But with people like them, nothing ever ends cleanly. Not when they start to feel the consequences of your absence. The first few weeks after Thanksgiving were quiet. Beautifully, eerily quiet. No calls. No guilt. Just peace. Until Christmas. December 22nd. A text from my mother, just a picture. Their living room, decked out with stockings. A half-decorated tree. And front and center, a massive empty space where they usually stacked the presents. "It doesn't feel the same without you. Ellie keeps asking why Uncle isn't coming this year." I stared at it for a long time. No apology. No ownership. Just the same manipulative undertone. "Look what you've done. Look who you're hurting." I didn't reply. December 23rd. Natalie tried calling. I let it ring out. Then a message. "I know I messed up, but you don't have to punish everyone. Just come by for Ellie. She misses you." 2 minutes later. "Also, Mom and Dad are behind on their mortgage. I know you don't care anymore, but the bank called today. Thought you'd want to know." There it was. The ask. Always hidden in a blanket of guilt. Always coated in fake softness. But it always ended the same way, with a request. I blocked the number. December 24th. Another text. This time from Dad. "You made your point, we get it, but enough is enough. We need help. We're still your blood." That night, I sat alone by the fireplace with a glass of wine. No tree. No noise. Just me and the silence they always said would destroy me. And for the first time in my life, I was thankful for that silence. But it didn't end there. January. A call from a number I didn't recognize. I picked up out of habit. "Is this Daniel?" a man's voice asked. "Yes, who's calling?" "My name is Mark," he said. "I'm calling on behalf of your father. He mentioned you're the primary executor of the family trust." I froze. "I revoked that role 2 months ago," I said. "It was finalized by the family attorney. My name is off everything." He paused. "I see. Your father said he couldn't reach you directly and asked me to explore options." They're in a bit of a bind. Of course they were. Natalie and my parents had run out of options. The ATM was closed. The safety net was gone. Now they were trying to get creative. I hung up without another word. February. The final straw. An envelope in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. But I recognized my mother's handwriting instantly. Inside was a letter, 3 pages. Page 1, regret. "We said things in anger. You've always been the strong one. We never realized how much we leaned on you." Page 2, guilt. "Your father's health isn't good. Natalie's completely alone now. We're worried about Ellie, she's struggling." Page 3, the hook. "We're selling the house, but we're underwater on the mortgage. We just need a little help to get through this. Then we'll never ask again. Please, Daniel. Do it for your father. Do it for the family." I sat with the letter. Let myself feel every ounce of what they wanted me to feel. The weight of responsibility. The sting of obligation. The aching need to fix what was broken. Then I folded the letter. Got up. walked to the kitchen, and tossed it in the trash. The truth is, they weren't asking for help. They were asking for access again. They didn't want me back in the family. They wanted the version of me who didn't say no, who paid silently, sacrificed silently, suffered silently. But that version of me? He's gone. I'm not their scapegoat anymore. Not their golden goose. Not the duct tape holding a broken house together. I am done. And the most terrifying part for them? I'm doing just fine without them. I got a new job. Moved to a new city. Bigger place. Clean slate. I started volunteering on weekends, not because anyone needed me, but because I wanted to. I built a life where no one calls me at 11 p.m. to cover a mistake they refuse to own. I'm not punished for being independent. Kindness isn't used as leverage. I don't regret helping them, but I do regret how long it took me to stop. You want to know what real peace feels like? It's not being surrounded by family. It's being free from people who only call you family when they need something. Update, months later. I didn't think this post would get attention. Honestly, I just needed to say it. To put it somewhere. But I read every comment. To the people who said, "You were brave, they don't deserve you, thank you." I didn't know how much I needed to hear that, until I did. And to the few who asked, "But what if they change?" Yeah, I asked myself that too. It's been a few months now. They didn't change. After I cut them off, after the folder, after the screaming, after the silence, after the letters, I thought maybe, just maybe, someone would get it. That they'd reflect. That they'd say, "We're sorry." They didn't. They got quiet. Then they got strategic. Then they got desperate. Then they got ugly again. But me? I got free. Since then, I moved to a new place. Got a job that doesn't keep me up at night. Started therapy, real therapy. The kind where you stop trying to fix everyone else, and finally learn how to sit with yourself. I cook for myself now. I sleep better. I go outside more. I don't flinch when the phone buzzes. And yeah, sometimes I think about Ellie. About what she's being taught. About what she'll grow up believing is normal. But I also know this. I was the example of someone who finally said, enough. A few days ago, I got another letter. Handwritten. From my mom. 3 words. "We're still family." No context. No apology. No change. Just the same old hook. And for the first time, I didn't feel anything. No anger. No sadness. Just nothing. I threw it away and made dinner. So now I'm back here. Because this place gave me a kind of clarity I didn't expect. Strangers saw me clearer than my own blood ever did. So here's what I want to ask. Did I do the right thing? Cutting them off? Dropping the weight? Saying no, and meaning it? Was I too cold? Or was I finally just done being the only one holding it all together? I don't know. But I do know this. For the first time in my life, I'm not surviving. I'm living.